You're either going to love or hate this upcoming series, but I'm going to show you what it really looks like traveling with kids internationally and jet lag. We landed in Japan at 9, got to our hotel by 10:30, and bed by midnight. Both our kids woke up around 2 a.m. and did not want to go back to sleep. They were wide awake, so we decided to have a wake window at this point. For the first couple of nights, we totally expect a wake window in the middle of the night, and we just embrace it. Make sure you have food in your hotel room because they are going to be hungry. My husband and I like to take shifts. He was taking this shift, and you see me over there in the corner still sleeping. Ideal scenario, we keep the lights dim and we have him play with toys instead of watch anything, but we were so tired from the red-eye flight that we took to Tokyo, so we just let it slide this night. They both went back to sleep around 5 a.m. My toddler woke up at 8:30, and we ended up having to wake my baby up by 9:30. My goal is to try and get my kids up by 10 a.m. the first day, and then each day after that work toward a more normal wake-up time. For us, we like 8 a.m. on vacation. So my number one tip that I want to share from this very first video in this series is to make sure you have food in your hotel room for that overnight wake up. And if you're a nursing mama like me, mentally prepare that you may have more nursing sessions the first night. Be sure to follow for part 2 of this 8-part series. Here are my non-negotiables that I live by when traveling with the baby and toddler after a major time change shift. That very first day, I don't like to sleep past 10 a.m. Our first day in Japan, my toddler woke up at 8:30 and we had to wake my baby up at 9:30. After breakfast, the very first thing that I like to do is get them out in the sun. Being outside in the daylight will help reset circadian rhythms. Appetites can be low that first day, so just be aware of that. We had a family nap at noon that day. You'll find that wake windows for babies are shorter during the first day, and depending on how many hours you shifted, this afternoon nap may feel like bedtime for them, so it's a little difficult to get them up. Best thing to do, once again, is to get them out in the sunlight and to do an activity that they will love and be engaged in. During our afternoon in Tokyo, we took them to Shibuya Sky along with the Team Labs Borderless. We had a car that drove us around that afternoon, and in between activities, this is when my baby took her second nap. I love that her second nap happened during the day and she had that sunlight coming through. She even stayed asleep when I had to transfer her to the carrier when we got to our activity. Now, a reality check. We had some epic tantrums this day, but we did our best to meet them with plenty of grace because jet lag is hard. We had a pretty standard day with my toddler having 1 nap and my baby having 2 naps, so let's hope this night goes well. It is night 2 dealing with jet lag after we've traveled to Japan with our baby and toddler. So here are my earplugs that I use when I sleep at night with my whole family in the same room. I also make sure that we have our baby sound machine with us, and we had 2 of them, so we plug in 1 on each side of the room. We get the kids down by 8 p.m. after baths, but we do have a wake window in the middle of the night again. And for the first couple of nights, we just embraced this wake window in the middle of the night. We were changing hotels that day, so I just decided to get packed up and ready. One of the top 3 reasons that a baby or toddler will wake in the middle of the night after changing time zones is because that they are hungry and they didn't get enough calories during the day, so we have a meal in the middle of the night. We pulled out their travel toys, and we also allowed them to watch some screen time. We really prefer low stimulation shows like Miss Rachel for moments like these. Their wake window was a lot shorter the second night than it was the first night, so that is progress. The next morning, my toddler was up bright and early at 5 a.m. and my baby woke up at 6 a.m. I usually say the first 2 nights are the hardest, so we're really hoping that this 3rd night goes better. Follow for part 4 of our day 2 in Japan. This is day 2 in Japan for my family with a baby and toddler who are dealing with jet lag. My toddler was up bright and early at 5 a.m. and baby woke up at 6 a.m. And you guys know the drill. I like to get them out first thing in the morning for the sunlight to help reset circadian rhythms. I'm embarrassed to report that we are those Americans who went to McDonald's and brought it back to our hotel room. We had a big family nap from 8:30 to 10:45. We had to wake the kids up at 10:45 because it was getting close to checkout from our hotel, and we were taking the kids to DisneySea that day, so we wanted to get there. It was hard to wake them up for this nap. They were both way out. Those first couple days, though, I do allow about an hour to 2 extra of daytime sleep if they need it. But the key really is as soon as you can get your daytimes more in line with what they typically look like at home, that will greatly affect their night sleep. So we had a fantastic half day at DisneySea. I was actually surprised. I was thinking my baby was going to take a stroller nap while we were there, but she did not. She ended up getting all the way to the train with us. And once we had got onto the train, I think just the surrounding sounds and then also the slight rocking of the train just put her to sleep. I thought my toddler was going to fall asleep too, but he did not, which I was very surprised about. We got to our hotel by 7. We put the kids down by 8. It was a pretty typical day for us, so let's hope night sleep goes better. Night 3 dealing with jet lag with a baby and toddler Japan went well for one of us and not so great for the other. We actually split up, so I had my baby in one room and my husband had my toddler in the other room. I had put my baby down to bed at around 8 p.m., which is a typical bedtime for her at home, and I'm so happy to report that by night 3, she is no longer having her wake up windows in the middle of the night. She still did wake up to nurse, which is typical, just like she does at home, but she went right back to sleep again. However, my toddler once again did have a random wake up window in the middle of the night. They went back to sleep around 5 a.m. and didn't wake up until 9 a.m. This is the point that we will start giving him half a melatonin in the middle of the night when he has his random wake up windows to help him start connecting his sleep cycles throughout the entire night. Now, I want to say that all kids are different. Some kids will take a lot shorter time to adjust to a new time zone, and other kids will take a lot longer, and that's totally okay. So while my baby's night on night 3 went very well, my toddler's night did not go well. And so it's just going to look different for each little one. Stay tuned for day 3 of Japan of how we're going to deal with this jet lag for my toddler. Day 3 in Japan with my baby and toddler who are dealing with jet lag. Baby and I went to breakfast together as we were waiting for the boys to wake up since they fell back asleep at 5 a.m. and didn't wake up till 9 a.m. Once they woke up, we all decided to go to Universal Studios. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. My toddler was so happy to be there, but he was still dealing with jet lag, so we definitely had a few tantrums while we were there. Baby girl fell asleep around 11 a.m. there at the park in her baby carrier. She can now fall asleep and take naps in her baby carrier, but I will say her naps usually aren't very long when they're on the go versus when she's at home in her crib. In the late afternoon, we all went back to the hotel and we had a big family nap again. Both my baby and toddler slept for about an hour. After an hour, we decided it was probably best to get her up because the night was getting closer. Too much daytime sleep will definitely affect the nighttime sleep, so this was me trying to wake her up, and then I asked my husband to try and wake her up, and none of us could get her up. So we let her sleep just a little bit longer while we all watched a show on the TV. By that point, it was dinner time, so we wanted to get out and walk and go find some dinner and a dessert, of course. Let's hope night 4 of sleep goes much better for both of our kids. I'm so incredibly happy to report by day 4 in Japan, both our baby and toddler were adjusted to the new time zone. Some kids take a lot longer to adjust and others don't take as long as ours do. All kids are different, but if you can remember these tips, they will greatly help you adjust your little ones to the new time zone. Number 1, make sure they're getting enough calories during the day because if they aren't, they will wake up hungry in the middle of the night, which may cause a long wake window. Just be aware that day 1 in a new place, sometimes their appetites are a little bit lower. That very first day, try and get your kids up by 10 a.m. local time, and each day after that, work toward a more normal wake-up time for you. We prefer an 8 a.m. wake-up. Tip number 3 is to expose them to as much daylight as possible. This will greatly help reset their circadian rhythms. Tip number 4 is to have food in your hotel room for those random wake-up times in the middle of the night. Tip number 5 is make sure they're not getting too much daytime sleep. An hour to 2 hours extra for those first couple days is totally normal, but after that, try and work towards a more normal schedule that you experience at home. I really hope this series helped provide realistic expectations when you're traveling.